Hey guys, DJI here, and today I'm going to compare the 3rd Gen iPad Air and the 4th Gen iPad Pro and help you figure out which is a better tablet for you. These are both the latest line of tablets from Apple. Stick around to the end for the conclusions, as it's more complicated than you think. Let's first talk about the display. The iPad Air has a 10.5-inch, 60Hz display with 500 nits of peak brightness. The iPad Pro has an option for an 11 or a 12.9-inch display, both with a refresh rate of 120 Hz and 600 nits of peak brightness. The iPad Air has Touch ID and the iPad Pro has Face ID for biometric security. With what's going on in this world right now, you're most likely wearing a face mask. Because of this, I now think that Touch ID is a more convenient method. The iPad Air uses a Lightning port for charging, while the iPad Pro uses a USB-C port for charging and is compatible with various USB-C peripherals. While the 12.9-inch iPad Pro was noticeably bigger than the iPad Air, both iPads had adequate space for handwriting. One noticeable difference, however, was the responsiveness of the display. Looking closely with a slow-motion camera, you can see that the iPad Pro's display was tracking the pencil's movement faster than the iPad Air. Even without a slow-motion camera, the difference was noticeable. Speaking of pencils, the iPad Air is compatible with the 1st Gen Apple Pencil, and the iPad Pro is compatible with the 2nd Gen Apple Pencil. While the sensitivity seems to be the same or similar, the 2nd Gen Apple Pencil does stick to the iPad with magnets and automatically charges as well. Now let's talk about the performance. For starters, the iPad Air has an A12 chip and 3GB of RAM, and the iPad Pro has an A12X chip and 6GB of RAM. Since this doesn't explain anything, I'll be running an Antutu benchmark and a video render test on LumaFusion to check the performance. After running the Antutu benchmark, you can see that the iPad Pro's score is around 50% higher than the iPad Air. Looking closer, the iPad Pro's CPU score was adequately higher as it has 2 more cores. The GPU score was more surprising at a 75% increase, and the memory is only higher because of the base storage. For a video render test, I'll be exporting a project I did as my 1-week iPad Pro challenge. It is a 2-minute DCI 4K clip with Korean subtitles. The results were surprising. The iPad Pro took 1 minute and 14 seconds, and the iPad Air took 2 minutes and 16 seconds. That's a 50% increase in a real-world scenario. Now let's talk about the cameras. The iPad Air has one 8-megapixel wide-angle camera with up to 1080p video recording. The iPad Pro has a 12-megapixel wide-angle and 10-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera with up to 4K video recording. However, I do need to point out, as it is an iPad, you're probably not going to use the camera as much. I personally would rather use my iPhone's camera than either one of these cameras. Now let's talk about the speakers and microphones. The iPad Air has 2 bottom-firing speakers, and the iPad Pro has 2 bottom and 2 top-firing speakers. The bottom and top-firing speakers are especially important when watching videos on landscape mode. This is a minor detail, but I also noticed when watching videos in landscape on the iPad Pro, the bass comes out of the bottom half, and the treble comes out of the top half. This is the unedited microphone quality of the 3rd Gen iPad Air on the Voice Memo app. And this is the unedited microphone quality of the 4th Gen iPad Pro on the Voice Memo app. Also for reference, I'm recording in a closet, so there should be no background noise or echo at all. Looking at the results, the iPad Pro noticeably has less background hissing noise than the iPad Air. Finally, the most important thing is the price. The iPad Air starts at 629,000 won, and the iPad Pro starts at 1,029,000 won for the 11-inch, and 1,299,000 won for the 12.9-inch respectively. While the iPad Pro is significantly more expensive, with the 400,000 won difference, you're getting a faster display, more performance, convenient Apple Pencil storage, an ultra-wide camera, 2 more speakers, and an improved microphone. In conclusion, the iPad Pro obviously has more features than the iPad Air, but that doesn't inherently make the iPad Air a bad product in any way. You don't pick a tablet because it has a lot of features. You pick a tablet based on what you need and what you need for the tablet to do in order to help you achieve your tasks. If you're looking for a nice tablet for note-taking or content consumption, the iPad Air is a great tablet for that. If you're looking for a tablet for drawing, photo editing, or maybe even light video editing, the iPad Pro is a better option for you. That concludes this video. If you like this type of content, I'll be making more, so make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.